typically on the window, but.
No, you know. More rice. I know you got my meat. I know you more rice. Little Legos. Yeah. I thought you were getting most. These are the ones. No. I
You're like, sure. Yeah. And she paid me. And she let you lay out. If you do it, set it down. So I got it like it was very good. It was this is Chase. Do those captions. Like, did you quit speaking my life?
It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Mayor Parker is not able to attend tonight, so I'll lead tonight's meeting. So if everyone please rise and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day, and thank you for this great city. Pray for your guidance and that you direct us in all that we do and all that we say. Thank you for all the employees and all the people that make up this great community, and guide and direct us tonight. In Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Next up is roll call. Alderman Williams.
Present.
I'm present. Alderwoman Duncan is absent. Alderwoman Cisco.
Present.
City Administrator Burbridge.
Present.
City Clerk Kohler.
Present.
City Attorney Weber.
Present.
Public Works Director Nash is absent. Chief of Police Chase.
Present.
Finance Director Houston.
Present.
We have Code Officer Brown.
I'm here.
And I've seen Josh Hunt.
Present here.
Yep. Okay. And is there any other city staff? Melissa, sorry.
Right
Right
there.
now. All right. So moving on to the approval of the agenda. There are 3 items that we need to remove tonight. First one's under the consent agenda, the animal control log for August 2023. That got missed in our packet that was posted online. So we need to remove that. And on down to new miscellaneous business, we need to remove personal days policy amendment. That was accidentally missed in our packet as well. And then under board appointment, with the mayor not present tonight, we'll need to remove the finance committee appointment there. And so with that, as long as everything else looks okay, I will need a motion in a second.
Yeah, I would move to approve the agenda with the removal of the animal control log, the personal days policy amendment, as well as the board appointments.
And I will second.
Motion in a second. I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Alderman Williams.
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. And Moving on to the consent agenda, I'll need a motion and a second for that.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
A motion and a second, I'll call for the vote. Alderman Williams?
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Moving on to hearing of persons. First we have John Hambacker and Jay Anderson to discuss a railroad walking trail. John, if you'll come on down.
I thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know that you have an agenda, and we're looking for an approval on this, and I don't think there's an agenda here, is there? But we will make our presentation. I walked down the trail recently, and I used to walk it almost every day, but after the replacement, I'm a little bit slower, so I haven't been going down as often. I did meet with the bear that Joe Chase talked to me about, and he's agreed to the fact that he's not going to attack anybody that is walking the trail for no reason other than he will address and be aggressive to people who are littering and destroying the trail. With that news, I hope that you've had a chance to read this letter.
Yep.
So therefore you know what we're here for, and you know what we're trying to get approved by you. There's a great opportunity, I think, to continue with the historical walking tour that we started years and years ago, and Jay's going to address many of those situations that existed on that trail that maybe even some of you in here aren't even aware of. So when we look at the trail at this particular time, there is some need for some involvement in terms of maintenance on it, because some of the lights are out, some of the trees look like they could be in a dangerous situation in terms of people. And when you get down to the area where you can sit, that bench is in need of repair. And then if you get to the trestle area where you cross the Sinking Creek, that part of it is definitely in need of some attention. I think according to Mr. Nash, the only thing that was missing on that was the fact that it needed some railing system. Our portion of the trail basically is going to deal with where we start the trail. And I have a frame that I made for the Commons years and years ago. And that frame can be used in terms of identifying the trail. These trails are not identified very well. They're not even, I mean, the railroad trail is identified on this map, but the Tiger Trail is not. And when it comes to these brochures, I can't find any of these in town anymore. This is a historical walking tour. And when we look at tourism, we're looking at people who, I think, enjoy these trails. So the intent of the trail at this point is to kind of make it into a nature trail as well as a historical walking tour trail. And when I look at the work that Jay has done in terms of the Dent County history, I mean, he's a wealth of information. And his site is a site that I think if we would use the hyperlink on the Salem site, we could actually get to his site. He's the one that should have full responsibility and reap some of the rewards, but that site is just a very, very powerful site. And when we look at signs that we could put up on the trail in terms of identifying some of the things that he's going to talk about, those should be addressed with those QR codes where people, everybody has a phone. I'm the only one I don't think that carries a phone until I look at it in the evening. But that could identify an awful lot of good history. And I think the tourists would benefit tremendously from it. As for cost to the city, I don't see anything to the city other than the maintenance that you've been doing in the past. This is a tourism situation that we can address. And I know there's a lot of volunteers in the community that would help with this. I've talked to people at the industrial park and at the forestry department and the Missouri Conservation. They're willing to participate in this. So I think there's a lot that we can do with very little expense to the city. And so I would hope that you would approve with, do you need one more person to approve this? You don't? Okay, well that's good. So I'm going to turn this over to Jay, and he's going to address some of the things that have to do with what was on the walking tour that you all may not be familiar with at this point. And then we'll answer some of the questions that you may have for us.
Let you guys pass that around. There's a lot of history on this trail. To begin with,
where Phelps Health is. And there's a kid that got killed on it. And it went all the way down that Frisco line, down to where this trail is. And we've got McGrath Dairy. Elmer Park is not too far off the trail. That's what those pictures are in the very back. Salem Bottle Works. We used to have our own bottling company that made flavored drinks. We had an ice plant down there. The people of Salem on Sundays would walk down the tracks to the creek and have picnics. They get the bottled soda and stuff. And we also had a Frisco Roundhouse down there. But what we're planning on doing is doing the same thing as a walking tour with these flags.
You know, at this particular time, there's nothing that identifies that trail. If you go down the school road, which is the sign that I had already designed for the comments was a 5x8 sign. And that sign, if it had a picture of the train and the roundabout, and on the other side there could be something in terms of a walking tour that has to do with the plant identification, tree identification. It would be a good thing for the school kids too, where we could actually inform them a little bit about the biological aspects of the trail
And that's
itself.
what the teachers have been doing. I've been out and seen them use the walking tour as a teaching tool. So this would help them with the plant life and stuff.
When you get to the other side, where the McGrath edition, that particular site also, there's always a big trash container that sits out in front of where the trail starts. There's nothing that identifies that side of the trail either. So, you know, again, when we look at the cost factors on this, the tourism has got some funds, I believe, a substantial amount of funds that could help with the creation of this. The conservation department will supply all kinds of trees. In terms of looking at the lower part, if you look at the hard maples with the colors and the dogwoods and the red buds at the beginning of the season, we could make some color and make that trail much more attractive. So it's not only a historical trail, like in the continuation of the sesquicentennial, but it's also to be utilized by our schools as well. So we're hoping to get some approval from you. Then we can start. I've already talked to all kinds of people. So I know that there's a lot of people that are going to support this, and I think a lot of people will help it.
And right now, SACPA is going through and looking at the old trail and bringing it up to date. So if you guys approve this, then we could add that to it.
I like the idea of it, and you know, especially for the educational piece for it. And one of the questions I have is, with this being a trail in the communities, would this be part of the park system? Would that be considered part of them at all?
I mean, if it's being maintained, we're the people that know everything in town already.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if the park board would want to review this request.
That's what I was going to say is, you know, we'd have a park and rec board meeting coming up on the 19th. We can suggest that to that whole committee because they would be the one doing the maintaining of the trail, right, keeping up with it. So I love the idea of it. I just like another trail being available for the educational piece, also for the encouragement to get people outdoors, get them walking. So I definitely love the fact of it, but I do think that it needs to be taken in front of Parks and Rec Committee before we make a decision on, a full decision on it, to get their take on it.
Okay, and when it comes to the park and recreation, the city's actually doing the trimming of the trees, right? It's not, that doesn't fall into, does that fall into your expense line?
It's not under my expense, but they work under Parks and Rec.
Okay. Because the only cost that I really see to this is what the city has done in the past in terms of maintenance. And I think there could be some community help for sure on this as well when it comes to planting and stuff like that. I'm not looking at you and saying, oh, you got to create a team for us to do that. I think I can gather enough people that would be willing to participate in that.
And another resource for funding is the recreational trails grant through a DNR. I think this would qualify for that as well, for some trail improvements through there.
Now, where do you go to do that at?
It'd be on, they have information on the Missouri Department of Natural Resources website, and it'll show when that grant opens up for applications and all that, which I would assume, I mean, part of the park board is for long-term planning for the city with parks and stuff, so I would think they'd be part of that process to help through that.
I mean, over the years, it has really, the blacktop is fine. If you go down and you're across from the care center, that bench, which was a Seaman bench, it's in disrepair. And so there would be some other things that we would probably want to add to that, some other stations where the older folks, including myself, might be able to sit down and enjoy looking at the phone and reading the Q&R that has to do with some of these historical facilities.
I think for us, in terms of maintenance, we can do that probably pretty soon, and see if we can get somebody to try to, if it's creating an unsafe environment or something like that, if the bench is broken and something that the city maintains, we could try to get somebody on it as fast, when we can.
I had talked with Mr. Nash concerning that, and especially the trestle bridge. And he indicated that the platform itself was okay, but it was a railing system.
Okay.
And therefore, it is a no trespass at this particular point.
Okay.
So when you're walking it now, it's blacktop is fine.
Yeah,
However,
but
the bench is bad, the trestle
Yeah,
bridge
and
is bad.
some of the repair, I think, I appreciate you bringing it to the attention, because now that we have, we've identified these, so I haven't been on that part of the trail in a long time. I take the blacktop route every so often, but I haven't been on the other side.
But the other thing that really bothers me is the fact that these are no longer existing anywhere. I mean, I've been to the hotels, I've been all around. I don't think they're not at your facility.
No, that's a community betterment thing, so.
Yeah, but I mean.
You write that in when you write the thing, yeah.
Yeah, when we're trying to do tourism, I mean, this is something that should be
We have a whole-
available at
we have
the
a whole
hotels
walking
and
tour
motels.
book. Remember, they're $15.
Yeah, and I've got a whole pulled up
Yeah,
on the
it's
website.
on the
too.
website here, but I know that's, if we can get.
And one last comment,
Yeah, sure.
I want to stress this, because when I use the website, the city website is awkward when you're looking for a trail. It keeps bouncing back to one particular point to try to get to the trail. I don't know who worked on that or who
For
did the
what-
trail.
Well, okay, that's a conversation for another point, but I mean, yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it identifies the trail, this particular trail, but it's awkward to get there.
Gotcha.
And so I've talked to a number of people in terms of using that particular site, and they found it's an awkward site to use. I just bring that to the attention because it may be something that needs to be addressed as we're addressing this as well.
Yeah, as far as the points on the trail, on the walking tour, that's what you're addressing? That's what you're talking about?
No, just going to the site, the website for Salem and trying to look up that information.
Yeah, you have to click through about 6 or 7 different
Yeah, it's
links.
just boom.
Because this trail stuff is listed under the Chamber of Commerce, the tourism page.
Yeah.
Which is under the Chamber of Commerce, not the city. So I mean, that's part of the,
So it's something we don't really manage that
Right.
part of,
right.
which is unfortunate, so we can't really change
But
much.
the
of that.
usability of how this works and links to the specific information of each site, that was already set up that was just carried over from the former website.
Okay,
So that's not something anybody has redesigned in recent years.
yeah.
And I'd like to stress one more thing, and I'll shut up.
No, it's fine.
And that's the hyperlink. I mean, if we could hyperlink to his site on that kind, that has
Which site are
most,
you referring to?
You're talking about.
yeah, your site, the Dent County History.
The Facebook page.
Yeah, that's a beautiful site, and I would think tourism would really benefit from reading some of the stories that are in there.
Yeah.
And to hyperlink that, I mean, I don't know how that's created, but I know how to use it.
Sure.
So, all right. Well, thank you.
I have one question, Mr.
So yes, ma'am.
I've never been on the trail, so I'm confessing right now, but I'm gonna look into it, okay?
All right.
How many benches would you say you would need throughout that? And would you be looking for businesses to sponsor the benches? It just brought idea from the Tiger
Sure.
Trail. I've been walking that recently.
Well, right now, there's only one bench there. It's on either side of the trail at the same location. They overlook the care center there. They are in disrepair, and they were evidently donated by the Steelman family. And I don't know if they'd be interested in going back and redoing those, but I think there should be some other ones. Older people that hike that trail may need a few more rest points. And I don't think at this point we're looking at going across the river. I mean, the turnaround, I think that was the crossing that was on the other side. That trail used to go all the way over to 68. And then the one time we were trying to get that to go all the way down to Six Flags, and that never panned out. So it was an adventure that was interesting, but it never created or never materialized. Any other questions as far as?
I think you have great ideas.
Yes.
I think what we'll do is we'll put it on the agenda for the park board, and that way we can get a solidified plan of action. We can come back and have this, and we'll have a plan of action of what we want to do and everything moving forward. So
I'll get with the president of Parks and Rec and get it added to the agenda for their next meeting,
Next meeting is
the
okay.
19th.
It's the 19th.
19th,
Yeah,
is
And
that
it's
fine?
at the Armory.
yes,
All right.
next week.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
You're
What
welcome.
time is that?
5:30. 5:30.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so moving on, we have William Parsons, request for a street closure for October Fair. Is Mr. Parsons present? Okay, I don't see him, so there wasn't a whole lot of details on this request, so we'll probably just move on from this one here. So next we have Debbie Murphy regarding communication.
Hello again.
Hello.
I'm going to be talking some about this, so I want you to have it. This was given to me by the mayor a couple of months ago. He texted it to me, and I want to address it because it's very old. As you can see, it was 2011. And part of this, the communication that I'm going to be addressing tonight has to do in broad and general terms. But, and I've looked into a couple of things. We are the only city around here right now that does not have an open public comment section on their agenda. With us, as you refer to this, as you notice, this was done in 2011, and I did leave some back on that table if anybody else wants to read this. The Board of Aldermen in June in 2011 voted to close the agenda at 5 p.m. on Wednesdays, preceding the council meeting instead of noon on a Friday. And then if you want to get on the agenda, you have to be in that office and fill out the form by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, I think it was. Anyway, I got delayed a whole 2 weeks when I originally asked to be on the board, and that's when he sent me this. I don't see this as a resolution. I don't see this as an ordinance. I see that this is something that in 2011 somebody initiated. So we're now, 2023. We need to, get a little bit more transparency. Is the word of the generation now. So if you're not posting an agenda until 24 hours prior to a meeting, how is anybody as far as supposed to give a public comment on what you're discussing on that agenda if you don't even know what it's going to be for 6 days prior to what the meeting is, if you're following my scenario here? And that's part of it. I've got several things I wanted to go through, but if you want to answer any questions now or wait till the end, that's fine, because I've got a couple more things. Your choice.
Well, by the way,
Oh, wait, okay. First issue was this one. And the other question that comes up along with this, do you as aldermen get the agenda on the Wednesday that they close the agenda? When do you normally receive it?
whenever it's available to the public.
Well, that's Monday before the meeting. So that's when you get it, you can go through everything so you know what's on that agenda. So then why are you closing an agenda on a Wednesday when you as aldermen aren't even getting it until Monday?
My understanding is that this gives the city clerk time to put the agenda together. Because when you look at our packet right now, we got a lot of items to cover through tonight.
And I'm not talking about the entire packet, I'm talking about the agenda. If you're closing an agenda, that means nothing else is going on that agenda after 5 o'clock on Wednesday, unless I'm mistaken. Is that correct or not?
There's, we can add stuff to it, you know, there's, any emergencies or any last minute requests from department heads and stuff, but.
I understand,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, if you have an agenda that's ready, available, just the agenda, not the packet, on the Wednesday by 5 p.m., why can that not be posted on the website, as this is what's gonna be discussed on this meeting, for the public to know? The other thing though I want you to answer or be aware of is, why do we have to be in that office to be on this agenda 6 days prior with no knowledge of what's gonna be discussed? Okay, so next question. In actuality, you should be able to do away, if you do open the meetings to just public comments, like St. James does, Houston does, that's all that's on there. They don't list names, nothing. Then you wouldn't have to have that paper to be filled in. You know, there's information on there that doesn't need to be given out to the general public. The first time I was here, my address got given out. No, thank you. You know, so why is that form there? That's a question for you guys. Now from citizens, every meeting that I've been to, each department person gives a report, and the aldermen also do. And it's, I would like just to see a little, it's not just me either. I think it would be wise in the notation of transparency to go into a little bit more depth. You as aldermen keep in touch with your constituents, I'm assuming, at some point. I've been in touch with you with email, I've sat down face to face. I never hear, or people never hear, what is the outcome of those? What kind, in general terms, report in your reporting session, what have you been hearing from the public? Just in general terms. Let's say you've had 3 people that contacted you about a water leak on whatever street. What happened with that? It's just like it falls, unless the public is not communicating with you.
For situations like that, we typically just reach out to the Public Works Department and let them be aware
That
of it.
was
There's
just an
nothing.
example.
Right.
The whole thing I'm saying is, I think each one of you would be, it would be wise just to say, hey, listen, I've had contact with several people in the community that have a concern about this, or this. And this is how we're gonna address it. 1, 2, 3. Information, otherwise it looks like you guys, you don't have town hall meetings, so how are you communicating with your constituents? If they're contacting you by email, if they're sitting down, I've had a meeting with you before, Sean, but some of that information never gets followed up on. So that's what I'm saying, why not follow up? And that goes for the committee people, I mean the superintendent people too. Mark Nash isn't here. But I'll give you an example on that. When he gives a report, and I think it's wonderful that you're thanking your employees of the city. Let's get a little bit more in depth of that. He ordered, I'll give you an example, 5 hydrants a while back. Had those hydrants come in? Had they been installed? Did we get that mower that he requested? That type of thing. Follow up from the previous meetings when they're voting in to spend the taxpayer dollars. We don't even know if they received them. Just thought.
Fair enough.
And I'm glad to see that Chief Chase was put on the agenda, because I had spoke with him maybe 3 weeks ago, and he was gonna get the report. I'm sorry that it didn't get put on the agenda, but that's an issue that me, as a constituent, is concerned about. I would like to know how the pound, the animal control, is doing. DCAUS was an issue 2 or 3 meetings ago. Haven't heard a follow-up on it. You know, so maybe next meeting it'll get put on the agenda where he can give a report. Sally, for instance, with the administration, you know, when you ask him to give a report, most of the time you don't have one, but you are the person that's the go-to for grants. So what's going on with the TAP grant? Just a follow-up, that type of thing. The online bill pay. what's going on with that? I mean, you're all here for a reason, and we don't hear, as public, we don't hear, except through the grapevine. And I'd rather hear from the source than the grapevine. That's it for this. Now, if I have more time, or if you want to answer these questions before I go just to a little bit more, if I'm out of time, I'll come back later. I'm not afraid.
Yeah, I'm fine. No, it's fine.
Huh?
Yeah, if you wanna, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I don't know if Mark Nash is gonna be on there or some representative. There was something for an AC unit this week that was supposed to be bid on. I noticed on the second bid that company recommended that the AC unit be checked out by a local HVAC person or company to see if that board could be replaced. The reason I'm talking about this is because I have a family that's in HVAC. Not that I'm asking that company, but that's where you would start with. Repair it instead of replace it if it's repairable. Parts are a lot cheaper than whole units. Now, he's not recommended going with that company, he's going with a different one. But has that been addressed? Are you just going, I don't know if you guys intend to.
I got the information when you did, and I read through the packet and I saw that. I actually had Sue also contacted me asking about that same unit. And that was something I was going to bring up was,
Okay.
Hey,
Well,
and that's something that, when we read through the packet, we have, if we have any questions or anything like that, before we make any kind of motions for approval or anything, we try to make sure we can.
Well, I noticed when he put it in as the staff recommendation, he recommends to purchase the unit from this particular company, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But there was nothing said about getting it tested first.
Yeah, and that was gonna be a question of mine,
Okay.
Why are we, replacing versus repair, is it too far out of date or anything like that? That's what was gonna be my question.
Okay.
So that's just one of the things. What else? Sorry, I don't mean to, I just.
Okay, I mentioned with you, Sean, a while back about contacting Town Spring. I don't know if you've done that yet, but Town Spring is now even in smaller cities associated with the Alderman and the city councils. So, if you want involvement from the community, I would think that the most affordable way to do that, and to stay local with business, is to digitally advertise it anymore. That's the way things are going. So it's been June, I think. Oh, no, end of May when I discussed that with you. I haven't heard a word.
Yeah, I mean, it's an advertising source, but I don't know if we've had anything come up for that.
If what?
If we had anything come up to advertise on there quite yet, but it is a source.
That's why I wanted you to discuss it with him. Town Spring, or, I went out and spent half a day looking this stuff up myself. And it's not just advertisement, it's other things that could be put on those boards. You want community involvement, you gotta get communities aware of what's going on. And, we're behind on so many cities surrounding us and what they're doing. I think it's time to step it up, is what I'm saying. Okay, last question. There's East Ward, West Ward, two alder people from each ward. Now, when I first came and asked, you're on one side, you're on the other side for the east, correct?
We both
You're
represent
both
east.
east,
Yeah,
but you
anything east
split
of 19.
east and west.
No.
Well, when I asked who I talked to, Kayla, you said it would be Sean, because of where I live. This was, yes.
I don't remember that conversation, Debbie.
I walked right up here and I said, who is my alderman? You asked me, what address are you at?
I did not ask your address. I would not ask your address.
You asked me what street
Okay.
I'm on.
So I don't know what you're pertaining to, so I'm not gonna argue
No.
or even try to debate. But I will tell you, I would have said Sean or one would have been your Eastward Alderman.
Okay,
It
well,
doesn't matter address
anyway.
or location.
So, you're alderman in the East Ward for everybody in the East Ward.
Correct.
And same with you for the West Ward,
Yes.
for the West Ward, because that's not what you said. But anyway,
I'll take your word on it.
okay,
There we go.
thank you.
You're
I know
very
what I said.
welcome. Perfect.
Okay, let's get back to, you guys wanna answer some of the questions. You said to wait till the end.
I just didn't hear a direct question. I heard a lot of comments, but I didn't hear.
Closing the agenda.
I wrote
How
that
do-
down
how
as a
do you do that?
suggestion, so we would have to discuss that.
Yep.
And Attorney Weber, did you have anything to say on her comment regarding?
Regarding when the agenda is posted, it
Yes.
pursuant to state law.
Mm-hmm.
610.020 that allows for the meetings to be posted, generally, if at all possible, at least 24 hours before the meeting. There are some exceptions to it to post even later than that,
For emergencies.
but since I've been here, the city's always been conforming with the posting requirements that I've put. So that's done.
My comment to that is I read that statute also. It's, you have to post it by 24 hours. Is there anything in there that says you cannot post? If you're closing the agenda, is it state statute that you can't post it before 24 hours?
You're asking, I'm sorry, I'm not here to give you legal advice.
No, I'm asking, these guys are gonna ask you. I'm just saying, can you post the agenda for public information when the agenda closes, not the packet, just the agenda? And if you're not able to answer tonight,
It's something we'll have to look into and see. I mean, it'd be my understanding that we could post it earlier before 24 hours, but I mean, we'll have to talk about logistics and all
okay.
that.
How about getting people on the agenda?
It's something we can look into as well.
Just do it as, public comment.
We can do that.
Okay. Next one was, I already did that one. Oh, how did you feel about the reports from, as far as you guys doing your reports, the contact from your constituents, and each of the city officials following up on what they reported on before, such as equipment that has been bought, put into service, whatever? How do you?
So typically, once we approve a bid, they go out and purchase that. We can put that into the report for Public Works or whichever department that's for, giving an update at the next meeting of when it arrives or what the process for that is. Because I know at one point we were waiting for the boomer mower, a piece of that, and it took quite some time just because of, everybody was blaming COVID for everything at one time. So that took a very long time, extensive time for that to come in. So it would be nice to know when that comes in. As for reports from, say you come to me and you say, hey, there's a water leak on South Water Street. I'm gonna contact Mark, who's gonna contact Donnie and Josh in their department, and they're gonna go fix that, report back to me that it's been fixed, and then I'm gonna follow up with you and say, hey Debbie, this water leak has been fixed, thanks for bringing it to my attention, this is what happened.
But I'm not asking you to be specific on who, I'm asking for general. What are the general public questions you're getting asked? As aldermen and their representatives, what kind of questions are you being asked? I know what kind of questions I've asked you.
It just depends on what is going on
I
at the time.
don't, like, there's been times when I've had 0 emails for 2 or 3 months. So, like, there's been a lot of that where it's not very often that I do get contacted. When I do get contacted, it is fairly specific. So, and I don't typically, but I do say that, I think 2 alderman meetings ago, I made mention that there was a hydrant flushing that people called me on and contacted me on, and Mark said he got it cleaned up. I just mentioned that I was contacted about that. As far as the specifics and talking about getting things in, it's not bad to have follow-up information. There's a lot of times, like this air conditioner that we're talking about, if you look at some of the bid items, the lead times on those are 4 to 6 months on a lot of them. So it takes 4 to 6 months after you order it before it comes in. As far as everything coming in and getting a receipt for everything, I'm not,
That's not what I'm asking.
And
The 4 to 6 months would be the follow-up.
Yep.
We're waiting on parts, whatever. But the money is being spent that are tax dollar and resident and citizens' money. When did it get spent and what's the ultimate end result? Did those 5 fire hydrants get installed? Did they get delivered?
Dude, Mark's really good about stating when
Well,
things
he's
are.
not here tonight.
He's not here, so I'm going to speak for Mark. But he is really good about letting us know, hey, fire hydrants came in, Josh or Donnie come in, this is what happened. Like, we did well testing. They let us know step by step. They showed us pictures of exactly what happened and what occurred. So it's not that they're hiding it or keeping it private, and I don't think that's where you're getting at with it.
That's not.
So they're doing a good job, a good job. We could do better, I agree. We could do great rather than good. But they do a good job of updating us on projects that are occurring or happening. Do you know what meeting that's going to happen? Absolutely not. So I do get where you're saying it would be great to know, hey, this has been installed, this is what happened, this is where your tax dollars have gone. So I do agree, they do a good job about updating us, but you as a citizen do not know when Josh, I'm just throwing because you're right here in front, so no offense. You do not know when Josh is gonna bring that to our meeting for as an update under public works. So I do agree with that, and I have that written on my paper, I do appreciate you bringing that to our attention. And, you know, we don't speak of people's names, like I wouldn't say, Debbie Murphy has a water, or curb breaking on blah, blah, blah street. You know, I just simply say, hey, on South Party, this is what's happening, you know, can we do tests? And that gets brought up, I mean, I've mentioned something about, US Foods and our street curbing breaking up several times, and it's been, they're trying to decide, you know, where is it coming from, what's happening, blah, blah. So those are being cut, and as soon as I have an update on that, I'm gonna let the resident know it's coming, but I guarantee it's gonna be part of this meeting, because I've mentioned it multiple times.
And I've been at those meetings, and I've been coming to, going on 3 years now, and I think at least every other you bring that up. Mark Nash's response is, we're looking into it still. How long do you have to look into something? That's what I'm saying.
I think it's a bigger deal. I know it's not specific. Sally's just started reading on
But
topic.
that's the responses people do not want.
But US Foods is trying to decide if it's their fault or not. And so they're trying to do color tests, and it's a bigger deal.
Last question, does the city have a mission statement?
I don't think we do.
Do we, Sally?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is it something you'll be looking into doing?
It's been discussed, that we need to do a strategic planning, and I think that'd be part of that process.
So when can we expect something on a mission statement? And I'm just asking you approximate, because if I don't ask approximate, it'll be 2 years before I hear anything.
I can't give approximate right now. I mean, it's something we need to.
6 months?
I mean,
2 weeks? Somebody just has to draft a mission statement.
Do you have any suggestions for a mission statement?
No, I'm not an elected official, so I don't, but
I just didn't know if you had a suggestion since you were bringing it up. I thought you may have had one.
Oh,
So I was just checking.
I have been in the working environment that everywhere has mission statements.
So for something like that, there would have to be some workshops that we have to meet, and there'd be a lot of discussion, a lot of feedback on it. So it's gonna take time. So I can't.
Okay,
can't
so
provide
that could be one
approximate.
of your follow-up reports for next meeting. We formed this committee, or we're gonna form this committee.
I will make my promise to you. I'll mention that every single meeting until we have one. I will write it down.
Okay, any questions more from me? I'm done. I'll see you again, I'm sure. I'm not near as nervous as I was when I first did this. You guys are all
You shouldn't
people.
be.
You guys are all people.
And honestly, we appreciate your feedback.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
coming up here and sharing all this with us. We
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Murphy. All right, moving on to new and miscellaneous business. First is the air conditioning unit for the wastewater treatment plant UV system. And this is on page 21 of our packet. And who will be discussing this for us? Mr. Hunt?
We currently got 3 high surface pumps that have VFD drives that run the pumps. It's got a built on, it goes on the side of the cabinet, an AC unit that keeps the drives cool. Right now we get about 80 degrees outside, and I go to alarm. The cabinet exceeds 105 to 110 degrees in temperature. I reached out to the manufacturer. They no longer make that unit, but they've got a bolt-on adapter kit that'll convert another unit to fit in the place of the current unit. But with that unit, I reached out to the manufacturer of the AC unit. I reached out to the company that actually installed the unit in the cabinet as a package deal, and that's the one that made the recommendation that I reach out to HVAC contractors. And I've done that. I've reached out to a few HVAC commercial contractors, and everybody stated on these split units that go on the side, you know, they get an internal leak, and they're kind of like a window unit air conditioner. There's just not much there to work with. There's no connection ports from even charge or uncharge it, the way they're designed and built. So that's why I moved forward for pricing on, getting a replacement unit.
So they said, because I looked at this pretty extensively through this, and they were saying it was an IQ 6000 EV or something like that. You said they don't make that unit anymore?
Well, the manufacturer, whenever I reached out to them, they continue to build them, but the exact model, the way it bolts into the cabinet, the opening in the cabinet. So I think the new unit that they're actually producing is either a little narrower or a little wider. I don't have the exact.
I was gonna say, I looked and I saw the unit, and I saw the specifications on their website, I was confused.
But it does have an adapter plate that's supposed
Okay.
to come with the replacement unit.
Yeah, and the one from Ice Cube Incorporated, that includes freight, but do they have anybody to install it was gonna be my next question, because right now, like as far as I saw, I know Andy Benner, the other one you contacted, said that, doesn't include installation and didn't include installation fees. and
That's
everything
why
else.
they're kind of similar to like a window unit. You
Yeah.
basically unbolt the unit and bolt the new one in place.
So you guys can handle that?
Connect wires, and that's what we can do in place, and that's why they're not real feasible as far as repairing them.
Yeah.
Once they develop a leak inside, that's why they
Fully
quit cooling.
enclosed. Yeah, I think they're supposed to be fully enclosed units for UV systems. Okay, and and you said you reached out and
I have reached out to several commercial air conditioning repair.
and they said no.
And everybody mentioned, that I discussed it with, the cost factors is what plays into there is to, I think we would be throwing good money to bad cause, just with the age of where we're at, what we currently got.
How old is the unit, do you know?
I believe it's a 2019 model, so it's not really that aged, but, it's not covered under any manufacturer warranty at this point.
Yeah, I noticed they had like a 1-year warranty.
One year warranty and
shows real promise in the product.
Yeah.
And the recommendation is, would be to go with Ice Cube's.
that would be my recommendation. That's the manufacturer of the air conditioner. Hydrokinetics is actually the one that installed that into the package into the pump station.
I think they have a smaller lead time as well.
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed too, I didn't know if they would still honor this price. It says on their quote that the quote is effective from July 28th through August 28th. I didn't know if they would still honor that price or no.
I'm hopeful that they will.
Okay. And if we were to move forward with this, if it went up or something, you'd come back to us with
Yes,
it.
I would bring it up.
Come back, yeah. I hate the 1-year warranty thing, but and the fact that we had one in 2019. Do we think like this one will go out in 3 years again? Is this just a recurring thing?
I hope not, but
Seems,
with equipment these days, it
just seems weird.
the shelf lives don't seem to be holding up.
4 or 5 years.
We'll see other proposals that they have more than a year warranty on it.
That's all. Not that I read.
I believe Hydrokinetics and the other proposer is primarily going with the same manufacturer.
Yeah, they're all coming from the same place. Yeah, it's just who's distributing it.
Yeah.
You can either go straight from the source or you can go through a third party. That's how I read it. I mean, it's still a necessary thing. Without it, things will start breaking down. So,
It's a lot of stress on the VFD drives.
And what was the cost of one of those? If it was for it up?
Ballpark probably 20K per drive.
yeah, it's something we need to do. So, I would go ahead and move to approve the bid from Ice Cube for $5,410 freight. Do we have to have can we just say plus freight, or does it need to be a certain dollar amount? It's fine. Okay. Yeah, then I would move to approve the bid from Ice Cube Incorporated.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Would you call for the vote? Alderman Williams?
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. All right, thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, so next we have electrical supplies for outground fields, and this is on page 27. And who will be presenting that for us tonight?
I don't have the information marked up.
I mean, yeah, myself, Stacy, and Melissa, we can try to field any questions you may have.
Okay. Are there any questions questions on this? My understanding of this is the supplies we need to finish the lighting for the ball fields down there that we've had poles up for a couple years or so now, and it's just needed to finish the parts. It feels like and then the funding for this will come out of the energy efficient project that Escrow County has there. Any questions, discussions, motion?
So this was a budgeted item that was discussed back in, I don't remember, June, July. So it's not a surprise. This is something that was budgeted for.
Right.
So I would move to approve the bid for the energy efficient upgrade for the 22,000. Nope, sorry, just kidding. 18,331.57 from Butler Supply.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'd second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
Alderman Williams.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So next item is salt purchase on page 55 in our packet. And that time of year. Yeah. And it's that time of year. This is something we normally do every year. It's a budgeted item. Looks like there's 3 bids. One from Compass Minerals, another from Kansas Salt, and one from 3 Rock Salt USA. And the recommended bid to go with is with Compass Minerals for $93 or $93.91 per ton for a total bid of $7,043.25.
I think it's just Rock Salt USA, not 3 Rock Salt USA.
Oh, 3, yeah, you're right.
But and this is probably going to be a stretch. You guys know what we paid last year at all? How much this has gone up? Probably not.
Don't off the top of my
Okay.
head.
I think it was around this ballpark. I was just, we're not spending the whole 18,000 budgeted for the chemical expense, so
Right.
I would be curious to make sure. But we already got 3 bids, so it's not like it's going to go down. But I'd like to know what the increase possibly was. But I would move to approve the bid from Compass Minerals for $7,043.25.
The motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that then.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderman Williams.
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Alright, so next we have the first reading of bill number 3573. And Ms. Kohler would read that by caption only, please.
Bill number 3573, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign and execute an agreement between the city of Salem, Missouri and Build Tech Construction LLC for the construction of 16 hangars at the Salem Memorial Airport K-33 State Block Grant, project number 23-066A-1.
This is the first reading, so there'll be no vote taken tonight. That'll be at our next regular scheduled meeting. But there is an opportunity for discussion if there's any on that.
No,
Good.
sorry.
All right. So we'll go ahead and move on to community support requests for funding. First, we have the Benton County Extension. This is on page 68 in our packet.
Hello. I'm Brandon Richardson. I'm the Extension and Engagement Specialist for Dent County. I cover 7 counties in this area. And every year we use this funding to fund our Youth Program Associate position that is also known as the 4-H person's position. So Dent County has a really nice long heritage of 4-H programs, and we really appreciate all of the support that you've given us in years past, and hope that you'll be able to do that in future years. I brought a few things that I can it's just one copy, but you can just kind of take a look and pass it down. It's, first the page is kind of some of the duties that the Youth Program Associate has typically been doing. And then I attached the Denton County annual report that I also sent in when I sent in the request. And I kind of rearranged it so our 4-H page is on the front there. And then, maybe those are the only two things I brought. Oh, and then I have this, and I'll come up here. Some of the things that we're hoping to do in the coming year is we have a youth specialist, Julie Factor, that is actually housed in Phelps County, but she is covering Dent, Crawford, and Phelps counties. And she's actually came to us from the public school system. She was a principal previously, and she's got a lot of things going in all 3 counties that we hope to be able to continue. Some of the things that we are hoping to get established in Dent County is a Youth Futures program, which is an after-school program. Youth Futures was developed by the University of Missouri to prepare at-risk students for education or career choices that they'll face in adulthood. And it's only available through the University of Missouri and can be only delivered by youth specialists or youth program associates. And so she is currently getting that training underway. That's just one of the programs you can see on the list that I gave, all of the other things that Amy's been involved in helping with, but we hope to have more things in the future. Did you guys have any questions for me?
I don't. Do you?
I do not.
All right, well, it would be a very, very big hit to our annual budget, and it would be very difficult to be able to maintain the staffing for the 4-H program without this funding, so please consider us. Thank you for letting me come.
I always appreciate before you leave.
Yeah.
I appreciate the 4-H. I was not involved as a kid. This is, farm animals, my first time messing with the sales, but just seeing what the children take from this. It's not just caring for an animal. It's teaching them life skills. It's teaching them how to manage a budget. It's teaching them how to take care of this animal. It's like, and of course the sale's always sad because they're crying, but it teaches them a lot of life skills. It's not just caring for this animal. They have to spend a lot of time and their money into this animal. So I really respect the program and appreciate the fact that it is here in Denton County.
Thank you.
Any other discussions, questions?
I don't have anything.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. So we'll need to have a motion for approval on this one.
Quick comment, if I may. So this item and the next one, the SAP 12, these are, the change that we made with this budget year about community support fund.
Yeah,
So these were the 2 requests that we received.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for this request?
I would move to approve the request for funding of $5,800.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
Alderman Williams?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So the next item we have is community support request for funding, and this is the Salem Area Community Credit Association. This is on page 85. Hello.
Hello. So as you guys know, I'm the president of the Salem Area Community Credit Association, and under us is the beautification committee. And so we are requesting the $5,000 for them to maintain, and they're here to kind of talk about what they do.
We're representing Spring Creek Golf Club, Garden Club. I could represent it.
Teach me to swing a golf club, it's great.
Anyway, because we do the work primarily on the planners downtown, and because I have been a SAPA member for many years and worked on the beautification committee and have a little background for the needs. And the $5,000 that we're requesting would be for supplies like fertilizer, bags of soil, mulch, plants that we install in the planters in May In September, we put in bulbs that lay there all winter to come up in the spring, and in November, we put greenery in the planters. And in addition to that, we do 9 planters in the downtown area. We have 1 at the SACPA office. There are 4 at the swimming pool, and there are 3 small planters at the SACPA office and 2 small at the ONCRC center. So that would include all of those planters. We have a private contractor who takes care of mowing around the SACPA area and the farmer's market, and he does pruning on the shrubs and all of the Welcome to Salem signs, and keeps the light going. And currently, I don't know if you need a name or not, probably not, but the expenses in 22 for that was $2,711.96, and it could be more, but anyway, the total for supplies and that work is $4,936.96. So the $5,000 is needed to fund that. But we also have a few questions if you could help us out with that. And Robin's going to address some things about how much we go forward, because we don't know the status of the planters or the sidewalks and whether to order bulbs and things like that. So it's been this way for, I hate to say this, but it's been this way for at least 6 years. We took the planters out at the east end of town because the sidewalks needed to be replaced because water was going into the buildings down there. So we took the planters out rather than tell the merchants we can't plant plants because they're going to take the planters out. Well, it hasn't happened. And we had one go bad that we had to take out for safety reasons uptown. So now we don't know what to order, etc. So
What to order, is to order.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to address, I was going to say something.
I was
think
speaking
you know.
The short answer is, I don't have an answer yet. Okay, that's the honest. So we are at the point, we have the actual easements from all of the building owners for phase 1 for the new sidewalks and lighting to downtown. But we are at the point right now, MoDOT has also then now requested some additional documentation that we're working on gathering from those businesses in those 2 blocks that are phase 1. So we have to the end of this month to have those, okay? But I don't know how long MoDOT may take after that to get it to the point of construction.
Would we be, how do you feel about us spending $700 over bulbs? Because that needs to be done now. It's already late.
I would hold off, but that's my.
I would definitely hold off on the areas where we will have like those 2 blocks that are going to be, but if there's anything further on as well as
There's not much farther on.
Yeah, there's not much, but I probably would hold off on the ones on those 2.
So
I'm
we
hopeful.
haven't lost the grant.
No.
Because I thought it should be in by 2 weeks ago on Friday.
Right. Yeah, and in talking with MoDOT, because I've been staying in communication with them. Yeah.
We were frustrated as well.
Will some of the planters come out and some of them remain? Because that's how we don't know how to go forward.
So
the 2 blocks you're referring
the 2
to
blocks are from Iron Street, so they're right in front of the city administration building,
right,
to Washington Street. So where the H&R Block and Sylvia's.
Okay.
Cut across 4th.
Okay.
That's the 2 blocks.
So that's all the planters downtown except for the 2 in the upper block.
Yeah, that was what I was mentioning, was I think those 2, but the other ones, I'm hopeful that we get this done because we've been making a pretty good push recently on it to try to actually get it done because I'm tired of it being 6 years late.
Okay, so we probably really should help on even the greenery and the bulbs and not, okay.
I would.
All right.
Yeah, and that's our, we found some clarification and some communication.
Well, and I haven't responded because I didn't have an answer.
Yeah,
that's the issue. And I know, believe me, I'm as frustrated as anyone about how long this has taken. But here's my concern, honestly. So the airport contract for construction, we just did the first reading tonight to award the contract to a construction company for actual buildings. Okay, We were ready, the city was ready November. Last November. And we've been waiting for it to work through the MoDOT process. And so that's why I say on this project, I don't know.
They'll create the schedule as far as bidding it out and then awarding it, and the actual construction schedule itself. So we don't have any idea.
So when these planters come out, they have no bottoms in them. They're just built on, so they're going to be lost.
Right. Yeah, they'll disintegrate. Is my
Okay.
So we
understanding.
did, and we're
they'll
gonna have
come
to have a
apart.
budget for all new planters,
Right,
so.
and right, and to my knowledge, we don't have a plan for that I have
Not yet.
seen or heard of at this point. So we're
And
just
we
trying to,
understood that they wanted to have ones that could be removed,
gotcha.
that's what we were told
We
earlier
had a
on.
committee in place, if you guys ever get to that point. But Ray had asked
Yeah,
us.
when the sidewalks are being built, I would definitely entertain, new planters and new greenery for that area. I would love it.
But some of the things that we'll have to keep in mind will be that the planters will probably need to be different sized, and we'll have to talk about where on the sidewalks they go,
Right.
so
Right.
that it doesn't impede equipment coming through to keep sidewalks clear. Those kinds of things.
Yes, that's what we thought they needed.
Is that something that they can look at now? Look at our plans for the
I mean,
sidewalk?
our plans are online.
Yeah.
I could probably give you a printed set of them if you want them at the city office. I'll have to look and see if I have an
Well,
extra
I
set.
tried when I was in Saga to hang on to money
Mhm.
to help pour the planters, but there's not enough probably to do them
So-
all.
Come up with something and then we
And I don't wanna take up a lot of time here, but let me show you quickly. Because the plans are,
And is there any,
that's not where I want.
would there be any additional water other than the water that's over there at Craig Plaza?
There is not plans for it right now. That wasn't included in any of the original design. And again, I mean, you ladies know the public meetings for this were held prior to my moving.
Oh, right,
Right.
yes. I
So,
know that, yeah.
I don't know what happened or what was discussed at that time. And so I've kind of got the designs that I inherited.
Right.
So I'm kind of trying to make the best of it. But, let me pull this up here. So if you go on our website, the city's website, and you hover over government, and come straight down here to city projects. Okay, you just scroll down and you'll see over here on the left, the downtown project. Okay, as soon as it loads. Okay, as soon as it loads.
Of course, it'll stop right
Yeah,
there.
right there.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have this little tip of a light fixture. So here where it says City of Salem TAP 9901, those are the actual design plans. Now, there may be a few final tweaks, but this is the majority of the plans. Okay. So here you go. This is the best image to show you the two blocks.
Yes.
So you'll see kind of upper right, that's the courthouse square. Okay.
Right.
Okay, and then immediately down from that, that's that block. You'll have VIP kind of on the left-hand side of the block there. And then it shows you the next block. So
Well,
those are
when
the
they
two
get
blocks.
that new sidewalk in and the courthouse gets their new sidewalk, that's really gonna add to that block.
Right.
It'll be nice,
Right.
so.
I think it'd be good for you all to review this and maybe decide where you might want to place planters, and then we can maybe work with our engineers and MoDOT to make sure they can be placed there properly, type thing, and wouldn't cause any issues.
If you get them too small, you
Right.
can't keep
There's
them
no
water.
point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have to be careful about that.
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
Unfortunately, like I said, right now, we talked about the water, there's no plans for additional water anywhere in here. It is undergrounding the electrical, and you'll see there's little, let me see if I can blow this up, these black dots. That you
Yes.
see here,
Yes.
that's where the new light fixtures are proposed to go. And this in between, you can't see it well here, I can't blow it up well enough, there's a little bit of a herringbone pattern, that will be brick pavers. And that will be for ease, that's where the electrical will be undergrounded, so if it needs to be worked on, we don't have
Okay.
to bust up the cement sidewalks.
Right.
So,
All right, well, there's still need for funding for all the maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Thank you very much.
And I think SACWA does a wonderful job of maintaining all the flower plants and
Thanks.
the Great Plaza and all that. So we do, thank you.
Oh, that's one little PS.
Yeah.
Now that you don't pick up trash or the the garden waste around the city. They don't pick up everything that we clean out of Craig Plaza and put on the end.
Okay.
So I don't know if that can be done or not, but the ministers who clean there all the time have had to start bringing their truck down and haul that off. So in the past, the city comes by and picks it up.
It's a city park, that plaza there, so I can't see why we can't.
I think the bigger thing is just for us
For the
to
ditto.
know.
When it happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't tell you that they have a steady routine of cleaning, but you'll see the stuff at the end of the Craig Closet. Shall I tell them to leave it there? And see if the city can pick it up?
I'll visit with Mark. What do you think?
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thanks, ladies. All right. Any questions, discussions on that? They're still here.
Oh, I thought they left.
No.
Oh,
Nope.
here
So,
they are.
okay.
Sorry, I thought you left. Will you need that full amount of the 5,000 without having to do all the planters this season with the repairs happening?
Well,
Probably with the new planters we will, don't
Okay.
you think?
if
Just to keep
At
aside.
least.
if we get to that point to do new plans, we certainly will need.
Perfect.
And I mean, I'm hopeful even our garden club will help, because they're expensive.
You all do an amazing job
Well, thank
keeping
you.
that downtown looking great. I mean, that's
In the
hit of
pool.
the season when
Yeah, and the
everything's
pool.
moving. In the pool, everything looks phenomenal. So I thank you
Whole
for that.
pantry.
Thank you.
Yeah. The trees.
Yeah, the trees, the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So there's a lot of things that you do.
Yeah.
I think I would move to approve, the full amount of $5,000, to go to SACBA, for their gardening expenses.
Okay, motion, do we have a second?
I was second that.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderman Williams.
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Alright, so the next one, last item under new miscellaneous business is, resolution number 28-2023.
Resolution number 28-2023, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Salem, Missouri and the Merrimack Regional Planning Commission for membership services.
This is something that we do yearly with them. They provide a lot of service to us, the city, a lot of assistance. I think
I've been utilizing them quite a bit the past 2 weeks. So I think they do a great job.
what's that? Yeah.
I would move to approve resolution number 28-2023.
And I'll second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderman Williams.
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Alright, so now we're gonna move on to the reading of bills. This is the second reading of several bills. So we'll start with bill number 3562, and it's on page 133 in our packet.
Bill number 3562, an ordinance to rezone 1101 Bab Lane described in Exhibit A in the city of Salem, Missouri from commercial to manufacturing industrial owners MFA Incorporated.
Any discussion? Seeing none,
I'd move to approve bill number 3562.
do we have a second? Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderman Williams.
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next we have bill number 3563.
Bill number 3563, an ordinance to rezone 1200 Bab Lane is described in Exhibit A in the city of Salem, Missouri from commercial to manufacturing industrial owners Peggy J. Whitaker Trust.
I move to approve bill number 3563.
I'll second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
Alderman Williams.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next we have bill number 3564.
Bill number 3564, an ordinance to rezone 1203 Bab Lane described in Exhibit A in the city of Salem, Missouri from commercial to manufacturing industrial owners, sellers, investment properties.
Discussion.
I move to approve bill number 3564.
We have a second. I'm not sure on this one.
My father-in-law partners with that business, but I just did 2 seconds.
For the rezoning.
So I have to abstain from voting.
And we don't have,
I have a tiebreaker for me.
yeah, we don't have, we don't have a quorum.
Quorum at
So
that point.
we'll try to table this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will table
And that is
bill number
3564,
3564.
1203 Badlands.
So we will move on to bill number 3565.
Bill number 3565, an ordinance to rezone 1207 Bad Lane as described in Exhibit A in the city of Salem, Missouri from commercial to manufacturing industrial owners BKC property.
Any discussion?
I'll move to approve bill number 3565.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderman Williams?
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next we have bill number 3566.
An ordinance to rezone 1209 East Scenic Rivers Boulevard as described in Exhibit A in the city of Salem, Missouri from commercial to manufacturing industrial owners, sellers, investment properties.
We need to abstain from this one as well.
I don't know. He just works for, he drives for Children. But I don't know, I guess that would be their office, right?
It's right next to Highway 3272, that block there. We can table this.
Yeah,
Just like
just
the
in
other one.
case.
So we'll go ahead and table that one. That's tabling bill number 3566.
And we'll have to do 67 as well.
Go, let's abstain from that one as well. Okay, we'll go ahead and do the reading for it and then table it. So it's bill number 3567.
Bill number 3567, an ordinance to rezone 1301 Bad Lane as described in Exhibit A in the city of Salem, Missouri from commercial to manufacturing industrial owner David O. Gray Jr.
So go ahead and table that one. We'll move on to bill number 3568.
So like you moved down, so I think.
Bill number 3568, an ordinance to rezone 1400 Bad Lane in the city of Salem, Missouri from commercial to manufacturing industrial owner City of Salem.
Any discussion?
I move to approve bill number 3568.
I'll second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
Alderman Williams?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Alright, moving on to bill number 3569.
Bill number 3569, an ordinance to rezone all of Lot 4, Block A of Oak Park Addition in the city of Salem, Missouri from residential to commercial owner South Central Missouri Community Health Center Incorporated.
Any discussion?
Move to approve bill number 3569.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
Alderman Williams?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next we have bill number 3570.
Bill number 3570, an ordinance amending the sewer hookup fees for the city of Salem, Missouri, whereas the sewer hookup fees have not been amended in the city's code since 1977, and the city desires to amend these fees to reflect current costs to the city.
Any discussion? I know that utility committees reviewed this.
Yeah.
Made this recommendation.
Yeah, this came from the utility committee, it was a unanimous, so. I would move to approve bill number 3570.
I'll second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderman Williams?
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next we have bill number 3571.
Bill number 3571, an ordinance amending the water hookup fees for the city of Salem, Missouri, whereas the water hookup fees have not been amended in the city's code since 1991, and the city desires to amend these fees to reflect current costs to the city.
Any discussion?
same applies for this and the next two.
Do we have a motion?
I would move to approve bill number 3571.
A second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderman Williams,
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And then next we have bill number 3572.
Bill number 3572, an ordinance adding electric fees for the city of Salem, Missouri, whereas the city now desires to add electric fees to the city codes to keep all utility fees with the same enforcement ability.
Any discussion? We have a motion.
I move to approve bill number 3572.
I'll second.
Go ahead and call for the vote. Alderman Williams.
Yes.
Call myself there. Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
This is Alderman.
So next, we're on to our reports of city officials. First, we'll start with city administrator.
So the one thing that I would like to run by all of you, we do have a few things coming up in about a month. So community library sale coming up October 7th. Unless I hear from the board otherwise, we will go ahead and rent spaces in the same parking lot. Same fees, $8 a parking, or for two parking spaces, which is what we've done in the past. So that's coming up. Advertising for that will be rolling out shortly. Then immediately following that, and I'm waiting for confirmation on that, should be our community cleanup, our fall community cleanup week. I will have more details as we move forward. Like I said, I'm waiting for confirmation of those cleanups. That's it for this evening.
Good. Any questions for Ms. Burbridge? Thank you. Looks like we're moving on down to Ms. Melissa, and
She left.
she left. Okay. So we will move on to our Alderman reports. We'll start with Alderwoman Cisco.
The only thing that I was going to report tonight is that Parks and Rec will be having their meeting on September 19th at 5:30. This will happen at the Armory. Depending on the size, if there's a lot of people, we usually move it into the event center. If it's smaller, we just keep it in that first meeting room. That's all I have.
Thank you. I'm up next. I have two things. First, Governor Mike Parson has declared September 10th through the 16th as Water and Wastewater Treatment Professionals Week in Missouri to recognize the vital work of these individuals. And I want to thank our water and wastewater teams for the work they do across our city. And I also want to recognize our city employees that have recently completed the Journeyman Apprenticeship program through the Missouri Rural Water Association. So I see Chris McGurk is here with us this evening. There's also William Malone and Donnie Moore. Chris and William, they both completed all requirements to become a Journeyman Water Systems Operations Specialist. And Donnie completed all requirements to become a Journeyman Wastewater System Operations Specialist. So I just want to give you recognition tonight. Thank you for sharpening your skills and trying to improve the quality of our community. So just want to give you that shout out there. So thank you. Next I have is Missouri Good Neighbor Week is coming up on September 28th through October 4th. This was signed into law in 2022. This week encourages citizens in Missouri to participate in events and activities to establish connections with their neighbors. And this is a project coordinated by the University of Missouri Extension and the Hopeful Neighborhood Project. And their goal this year is to document 15,000 acts of neighboring in the state of Missouri. And they also want to honor Missouri's most engaged neighbors through county level and statewide awards. So for more information and for resources and ideas of different events and activities you can do with your neighbors, you can go to MissouriGoodNeighborWeek.com. And that will conclude my report.
What is it? Neighboring? Neighboring activity? I have a few things. First first of all, the most important in my opinion is the utility committee meeting will take place. That's tomorrow, 6:15 at the Armory. We've got a number of things, a few updates and reports from the utility billing side, and trying to do the electronic billing as well. I believe we're going to try to put on there. So we're going to talk about that, give updates on that, MPEP meeting, updates on water testing, and outside city utility talks. So there's a number of things that we're going to talk about there. Again, 6:15 at the Armory. I also made contact with a number of things. You saw MRPC on here. I talked to them about a transportation system. And I ran a little poll online on one of the local Facebook groups and got a lot of information very fast. It seems there may be some interest for putting in some public transport. I talked with MRPC. They told me to reach out to Southeast Missouri Transportation System, SMTS. I reached out to them. They would be willing to work with us on some sort of public transit system here. They just did a public transit system survey of their own, and unfortunately they didn't recognize enough need to have a Rolla to Salem route. However, they are willing to work with us. I know we were identified. One of the things that brought that up is we have a large identified impoverished community, an elderly community, and we are one of the communities that has the least amount of access to transportation at all. Most people, of all their surveys that they did, our citizens reported that they had no means of transportation. We had the most people without means of transportation at all, whether it be car or anything else. So there's a definite need, and I would entertain, and I'm going to keep working with them a little bit, and I will talk to you guys as well as work with the administration to try to come up with a plan that would be reasonable. I also understand that we have, financial budget issues and stuff like that. So we're trying to work out a reasonable, something with common sense that we can still work with our citizens that could really use the system. We had something like 1,500 responses to a survey on where they would like to see. So they are interested in working with us. The other one that I did, I also talked to MRPC about the Ozark Rivers solid waste department, talking about recycling and things like that. They are really hoping to get something started with us very soon. They have different things like grants and stuff that are available for us to apply for. Their 2024 grants have expired as of August 18th. I was unfortunate, didn't know about that beforehand. However, they do have a couple of things. The old trailer that we used to have here before we started a recycling system has been sitting unused at Onondaga. They are willing to give that back and try to reutilize that. And they suggest we try working possibly with the school systems to try to set up something through them, because they can report the amount of recycling gathered for a grant there. So there's different items. I will write that up in a more formal way and send it on to our city administrator and stuff to try to talk that through. So yeah.
So
sure.
Part of the recycling conversation too had been that the mayor and I had a conversation with County Commissioner Larson. So I put together, talking with Mark and myself, kind of brainstorming some questions that we had, and then also some other questions from one of the locations we had talked about maybe trying to put it, and submitted those questions back to Commissioner Larson, and he was going to go back through Ozark River Solid Waste Management District and try to get some answers. Yeah. To be honest, the biggest question right now is logistics. Especially if we're talking about glass recycling. Yes. Who here we go. Who monitors it? Who cleans up? Who calls when it's when it's full? All of that kind of stuff. Because the initial request was, can we just sit it on a piece of city property? Yeah. There's a little more to it than that. Yeah. And so we're just trying to work our way through those logistics. Who takes care of it?
They mentioned that they're working pretty closely. Right. that was not the main point of the call. Whenever I called them, I was calling them about something completely separate from the city,
But I
actually.
just wanted to share that, but that's, it's not died, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
we're trying to work through it.
Yeah, that's what they said. It's not dead. They're trying to work out logistics, especially with the glass, because that can create a hazard, and trying to find out surveillance and, you know, policing of it, because they don't want people just throwing hazardous waste and trash at the location as well. So, but yeah, they are excited to work with us, and they are fairly open to the topic, and there is grant funding available there. So those are the two conversations I had there. So that is all I have to report.
Awesome, thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
I have something else that I need to report. Ms. Susan gave us this paper, and I appreciate it because it reminded me, but I am going to be holding I'm still working on the new and improved community service, AKA soon to be community involvement. But I am needing committee members. We really need to start focusing on the fireworks, getting fundraising for that, and I really need that to be all wrapped up by January. What's been holding me up on holding a meeting is I have one committee member that shows up regularly, and Sally, myself, and then usually Mark is there, and Chief Chase has been there. So if you are wanting to join the committee, please reach out. There's also a form on the city website that you can fill out and just put in your information. It does not require a lot, just volunteering and showing up and willing to help out to be a part of the community service committee. You know, my main focus for the rest of the year is going to be the firework display. The city has budgeted an amount in there. I don't remember the exact amount. I want to say 10,000, but I cannot remember. Is that right? But with that, you know, as we mentioned in previous years, it takes much more than that to be able to do so. I'm wanting to turn this into an actual event where it produces for itself income-wise, such as food vendors. I reached out to several at the 4th of July at the rodeo this year. Several of them, they struck interest in it, but some of them already have things planned, which is what we're going to run into. So if you are a food vendor, if you have any kind of entertainment, we'd have to run that by Benny to make sure that he approves entertainment at that time out there. So there's a lot of things that still need to be done, planned, but I need help. I can't do it all on my own. I do have a job that I work at Monday through Sunday, basically, 8 to 5. But I just really need people to show up, be a part of that committee, and reach out and sign up. Because, like I said, I had one person that's been showing up regularly to these meetings. She's got a lot of drive, but not enough to do all the work herself. So please sign up.
Thank you. All right. So we'll move on. Next we have is closed session for privileged communications with the attorney and contracts.
Move to go into closed session.
I will second that.
And so we'll call for the vote. Alderman Williams?
Yes.
Alderman Cisco?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight.
Gotta shut it off.